Optimization is the new transformation. I'm going to tell you point blank that it used to just be that, you work out, you try to eat right, maybe you take the supplements that your friends take or somebody that you trust told you to take, and that's pretty much the transformation that you worked on. But now we're smarter than we've ever been. We have more resources than we've ever had. And so optimization is the new transformation. There's stars in the news for things like peptide therapy. This is Jennifer Aniston. She takes a peptide 3 times a week to combat the aging of her skin. So, in order to keep her youthful appearance, she's taking a peptide that essentially just helps you to keep your skin youthful. Here's some of the celebrities that have been in the news that have openly admitted to using the weight loss peptides. Why is that important? Well, it's important because the celebrities, it's quite often that whatever the celebrities are doing, we want to do. And I don't think it's just because of influencer marketing. Like, of course, you follow people and maybe you want to do what people are, doing. But I mean, the question to ask yourself is if I had, endless amounts of money and I could do whatever I wanted, I hope that one of the choices you'd make would be to take care of your health. And so inside the West Village in New York City, just 3.5 hours away, celebrities and royalty have this $250,000 a year annual membership to this clinic where they are essentially getting a type of optimization. So what's included in this clinic? They're doing things like comprehensive diagnostics that include DEXA scans. It's similar to the body scan that you go through here, a little bit deeper, but similar. VO2 max testing. We're going to talk about that in a minute as a point of longevity. Also, there's extensive blood work done. Okay, blood work, which we'll go a little bit deeper on in just a minute because this is not just for celebrities and royalty, but honestly, something that you should be looking at. Personalized protocol targeting metabolism, hormonal balance, inflammation, advanced treatments such as, here we go, peptide therapy, gene therapy, neural resets. Definitely keeping our brain health is super important in longevity as well. And then they do quarterly evaluations to monitor and adjust the strategies because your body's ever changing, you're improving it, and then therefore you're going to want to update what your approach is. Now, it's not just about a $250,000 a year membership. Equinox last year launched a $40,000 a year membership. What was Equinox doing? Well, let me tell you. This was called Optimized by Equinox. They did 100 different biomarkers for the blood work. Again, VO2 max, strength tests, movement range of motion. So these are similar. These are things without the VO2 max, which we will have in the future. The strength and the movement range is stuff that we already do in small group as part of our assessment. They gave people 3 private training sessions per week, 2 30-minute sessions per month with a nutrition and sleep coach, 1 massage therapy session per month, and access to exclusive amenities like recovery. There was also wearable technology included. So we are in a time where you should no longer supplement for the sake of supplementing. You shouldn't just supplement because a friend told you that this was a good supplement to take. You should supplement according to deficiency. We're also in a time where we can now train according to the data. It's called data-driven training, right? So like you may find out from a Whoop or an Aura Ring or something or other, a Garmin, oh, I should do more zone 2 training today. And you should listen to that type of stuff because that's where your body's at and that's what your body's needing. But again, as I start off this presentation, we're smarter than we've ever been. And so, what I want to tell you is it used to just be that the big focus was the pound of fat, right? I mean, this fat model, right? I chase people around with. People come to the scale, oh, I'm disappointed, I only lost a pound. I'd be like, you pulled one of these off your body. Jeremiah pulled 100 of these off his body in about 6 months. I mean, that's fantastic. Fantastic. But there's a shift, there's a focus. Well, the pound of fat is still part of the focus. What we're now holding in our hands is longevity, right? And so this is, of course, the greater focus because what longevity is about is, as I've shown you, multiple holistic plans. It's not a one horse show. It's not just about what the scale's saying, it's about what a lot of other things are saying. There was a great book, and if there's any readers or any people that like Audible listens, I highly recommend this book. I think it came out last year. I listened to it last year, but it could have come out a little sooner than that. And it's called
Oh, yeah.
Outlive. by Dr. Peter Attia. It's the science and art of longevity. In this book, he goes through the fact that there was medicine 1.0, medicine 2.0, and that we're living in the time of medicine 3.0. So I'll give you the cliff notes, just a quick history. What was medicine 1.0? 1.0 was with Hippocrates, the father of medicine. He came along with a revolutionary idea. In his time, people believed that if you were sick, that it was because the gods were punishing you. That's true. If you were sick, they're like, oh, this person must be being punished by the gods because they did something wrong. Well, he came along with a radical idea that maybe your illness is related to your environment and what you're consuming, and that maybe we could actually combat that by changing our environment and changing what we were consuming. And so he said, let food be thy medicine be thy food. And so that was 1.0. 2.0, Louis Pasteur came along with germ theory. Now, germ theory was another radical idea. You're not going to believe this, well, you might, because there was a time not long ago when your doctor came into the room where you were sitting in, smoking a cigarette and talking to you. So, prior to the time where they thought it was cool to come in puffing on a cigarette and chatting with you about your health, they would actually touch a corpse and not wash their hands and then deliver a baby, right? So, what Louis Pasteur came along with is germ theory. So, because they could actually study germs, they came up with this idea we should wash our hands after touching a corpse. Like let's wash our hands before we go deliver a baby. And that, of course, prevented a lot of infant deaths. They also came up with things like antiseptics, vaccines, all sorts of stuff. And what Medicine 2.0 really became about was treatment, treating illness because we could understand germ theory and things such as that. So from 1.0 of, hey, the gods aren't punishing you to 2.0, hey, there's actually germs that we could study and even eradicate some forms of illness, to now medicine 3.0. Medicine 3.0 isn't about treatment, it's about prevention. It's about optimization. And then because of optimization, therefore, there would be prevention. But I mean, how many people know on this call that it's hard enough, I'm talking about Lee. It's hard enough just get your doctor to pay for illness, let alone treatment, right?
Yeah.
Treatment or prevention, right? So you and sometimes doctor, I should say insurance company, right? You go to the doctor, and the doctor has a good idea for treatment, and then it seems like the insurance is sometimes dictating what you can and can't have. And if you go to your insurance company and say, "Oh, well, instead of treatment, I'd like to try this new approach, the prevention, so that in case someday I might get this, then." I can prevent it. Well, they're not into all that. They don't want to spend that kind of money. So now there's terms like gym is clinic. The book Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia, these were some of the top things that you need to know for longevity. VO2 max is the number one predictor of lifespan. How do you improve your VO2 max? You do intervals like what we do at the Impact X Performance. That's one of the top ways to improve your VO2 max. There's other things you can do, zone 2 training, which should be done on the days that your HRV says so, but very important. Muscle mass and strength. So important to lift weights that help you to maintain your muscle or even grow your muscle because there's going to be a decline and we don't want to be frail. If we are frail, then we are more susceptible to injury and we just can't live independently. So again, another important predictor of longevity. Metabolic health, focusing on things like insulin sensitivity, glucose, lipid markers, things you can only study through your basic blood work. Mobility and stability, we want to work on balance. Single leg movements are important. That's why we preach them. Emotional and mental health. It turns out that strong relationships and purpose actually make you live longer. So, I like to say too that the way that we get together, whether it be in a group or a small group at the gym, I mean, it's just great to have a place where you can have community, because I think there's a lot of decline in community in the world. So, turns out it's an important part of longevity as well. Sleep quality.
Absolutely.
Consistent and restorative sleep reduces disease risk. So you now have Whoop and Garmin and Oura Rings and stuff like that, Morpheus. Things are telling you about your sleep. They're saying, oh, your sleep wasn't so good. You need to work on your sleep and things such as that. Why? Well, it's an important part of longevity. Nutrition and body composition. Protein forward diets reduce visceral fat and support muscle. Cognitive function, early detection and prevention of decline is key. So that's why they're going deep on these blood work tests and testing at the cellular level. So that's outlive. I never would have thought, if you had told me just a few years ago, that part of what would be going on in gyms would be that people would be getting their blood work done and actually have an overall optimization program to where certain things that they were doing with a coach were customized according to the results of blood work. But let me tell you about Medicine 3.0. The blood work industry is growing rapidly. It's predicted to double in the next 10 years, and here's why. There's a lot of people that want to do Medicine 3.0. They want to quarterback their own health because they don't care whether or not their insurance is going to pay for it. They care more about living longer. And so they're like, fine, you don't want to pay for it. I want to know what's going on with my blood. I'm going to have it done at some resource, could be Gary Brecka, could be Own It, could be any number. There's different places out there. Tony Robbins has a company, different ones where they're getting their blood work done and they're quarterbacking their own health. So, what are they testing for when they do the blood work? They're testing primarily for cellular deficiencies. And I want to say tonight that that's pretty much what should be done first. Like if you're already into hormone therapy or peptide therapy, but you haven't looked at the micro deficiencies of your cells, it's like trying to put the roof on your house before you've put the foundation or the walls up, right? I mean, like that should be the topping. You got to look at your cells first. So they are in a proper order here. Cellular deficiencies and hormone therapy and peptides, kind of like a step one, two, three. Own It is a company that we've partnered with. We believe that they do the best cellular testing and that their custom supplements are the best. So this is about supplementing for the sake of deficiency, not just for the sake of supplementing. So you get the blood work done and then you get some supplements customized according to what your cellular health says. Now, when we talk about HRT, which would be next, I want to tell you that I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer because what if we treated aging as an illness? Right? Here's just a little chart to show you what happens to a female. Age 20, life is great. There's estrogen, progesterone. Yes, women need a certain amount of testosterone, and all other hormones are at their peak. Age 30, the metabolism's already started to slow down and fertility's already started to decrease. Hormone production declines already at age 30. By age 40, libido is declining. There's mood swings, muscle loss, and weight gain. Hormones have declined to the point of deficiency. Age 50 and beyond, menopause has arrived. Lower energy levels, more weight gain, memory loss, and insomnia. Hormones are at deficient levels. So when you look at especially like the age 40 and the 50, there's actually something that you can do about it. Because again, we have access to things we didn't have access to before. And so by optimizing your hormones, you can be preventing certain things like the muscle loss. You can be preventing the osteoporosis. Some studies would say that you're even able to prevent certain forms of brain disease. Interesting stuff there. But, thinking about aging maybe as an illness and a way to boost your longevity. That's why they say 60 is the new 30 and stuff like that. Well, it really can be. Really can be. And then peptides. You hear about peptides, and we started off with ones that are for the skin. And of course, the ever so popular weight loss peptides, sometimes called Ozempics or Mounjaros or Zepbounds or all kinds of things like that. But there's all kinds of other ones that you need to be aware of. Like there's one CJC 1295 and ipamorelin, and that boosts natural growth hormone. And you're like, growth hormone, why do I need that? It's an anti-aging hormone. Anti-aging hormone, better sleep, better fat loss, better muscle retention, better tissue repair when you boost something like that. And how many people struggle with inflammation?
Yeah.
I know I deal with it in my lower back. So there's things you can take like BPC 157, TB 500 to reduce inflammation. It benefits your joints and tendons and even your gut health. Gut health is definitely connected to your brain health. So that's something to study about the connection between those two. And then other benefits. So there's metabolic function. There's tesamorelin and MOTS-C to improve metabolism and insulin sensitivity. MOTS-C specifically works on the mitochondria. As you get older, like your mitochondria is recycling and it kind of it builds up what they would actually kind of classify as like kind of like a dog fur on it, right? Like you need to have as you get older for the best energy and for just energy for daily activities, you need to have your mitochondria at optimal levels and that kind of thing. And so MOTS-c is something that can help with that. Mitochondrial boost, again, there's MOTS-c, but then there's a 5-amino 1-MQ designed to energize the cells. Brain health. There's a couple here that enhance brain repair. They're less common in the US, but things are growing rapidly when it comes to peptide. I would say peptide and microbiome, they should be like words of the year. They come up with word of the year, right? Well, this should be like the word of the year. And then what we're going to be rolling out about midsummer is a program called Optimize 360 by Impact X. We've been working hard on this behind the scenes almost since the time that we switched from Journey to Impact X. So that will include access to getting your blood work done. There will be customized supplementation. There will be an assessment to a customized program. There will be 3 times a week small group training where we can still customize your training according to those assessments and also according to the data that we're seeing on a device such as a Whoop or whatnot. Exclusive access to recovery. Of course, the recovery would be included in this type of program. Success coaching is what we call it because now we're going to be looking at multiple things, everything from your nutrition to your mindset, to your supplementation, to your recovery. So that's why Todd Durkin has the 10 forms of wealth because it really is about a holistic approach. There will be a Morpheus community. That's going to be our primary choice of recovery devices. And I'll tell you why. I really didn't want people to have to pay a subscription on top of paying a membership. And if they join Oura Ring or Whoop, they have to pay a subscription. Where if you get Morpheus, you can just measure your HRV and not have to pay a monthly subscription. So, plus your typical Whoop or Oura Ring is a few $100s, and this is like $100, right? So, definitely a much more affordable way to go and still study your HRV. And then, of course, we'll have hormone and peptide therapy. So we've had 2 partners that we've vetted a lot of different companies, and what we'll be rolling out is something with a combination of Own It, where you start with the cellular testing, and if you needed the hormone and peptide therapy, Next Gen will be our partner for that. But we're putting together a program, and of course, it's going to vary according to location and the level of what somebody needs. But just want to say that again, optimization is a new transformation. This is the future of fitness. The future of fitness is a much more holistic, deeper approach. Now, I want to tell you about something else. So, as you look at that, you may be looking at something, you're like, geez, I don't even know if I could afford to do 3 times a week small group training, let alone custom supplements and, whatever. Everybody's in a different space, and I respect that. So, what I do want to point out is that there is something that you can do right now. And I think it should be a prerequisite to getting your blood work done. If you're going to test your cells to say, where am I deficient? I want you to honestly ask yourself, do I have a diet right now where I shouldn't be deficient? Because think about that for a second, right? Like, if we know that if you've been eating a ton of healthy foods because of our soil and because of different things, we're probably already deficient. So if you don't have something like what I'm showing on the screen, just a couple months ago, I have a coaching client and he introduced me to this product called Leviten. And they said, take the 60-day challenge, give your money back. It's a really interesting product because you can compare it to a ton of other superfood drinks that you can start your day with. And this is just designed better and it just really works. So, what Cindy and I noticed when we started taking it in a very short period of time is that we didn't even want to finish our coffee in the morning. Now, there's no caffeine in this, but for some reason, we felt already energized and we didn't even need to finish our coffee. And then the other thing that we noticed is a decrease in cravings. So, this is almost like a weight loss product. But what they teach us with this, and if you guys want to go deeper, let me know, reach out. I'll share the podcast. It's like 15 minutes. It explains the science behind it better than I can. But essentially, most of us break our fast breakfast with products that are probably inflammatory. We got, some coffee that's filled. Anybody on here like a little coffee with their creamer versus
Yeah, yeah.
coffee, right? You know, so if you're having like a sugary coffee, if you're having some sort of pastry or even bread, you already start kind of inflaming your system. But what this does instead is right when your body's ready for the most nourishment, It gives you just a ton of vitamins and micronutrients and superfoods and a simple green drink that actually tastes good. And I would say that before you go and get cellular testing, you should be taking something like this for 30 or 60 days because then you can really find out what you're deficient in. And those deficiencies are probably going to show up because, maybe you just have a genetic predisposition that needs to be addressed or something like that, right? But I mean, if you can honestly ask yourself, is my diet really so good that I shouldn't be deficient in something? And, like if the answer is like, well, probably not, then I would suggest that this is actually the prerequisite. As I pointed out earlier, you start with cellular health because cellular health, correcting that can optimize your hormones. It will optimize your hormones as your cellular health gets better. Hormones improve. The body's a wonderful healing machine, but it can't heal as well if it's deficient. So I would say before you do the cellular health, do the thing to make sure that you're actually getting all the micronutrients and everything that you need in a day. And so this Leviten is my solution to that. It balances hormones and blood sugars, just like what we were talking about for longevity and just naturally curbs cravings. It's what's inside. It's got about 14 different supplements in one, organic vegetables and greens. So if you're not so good with your vegetables, they're all already in there and they taste good. Prebiotics and probiotics, improving your microbiome. Super important. That's important for brain health. There's a connection between that. We can't go too deep on that tonight, but definitely something you should Google online. Essential vitamins and minerals, and it's free from the things that are normally kind of inflammatory or certain people have allergies to, like gluten, soy, dairy, and nuts. So there's no artificial ingredients. It's a really awesome drink. And what are some of the things that happen when you get a balanced body? Well, sustain natural energy, no more midday nods, right? If you mid-afternoon you're getting the nods, this product, many people report being on that product and it already takes away those. Mental clarity, reduced inflammation, right? The body's inflammatory responses can sometimes also be a reflection that it's either undernourished or not well balanced. Weight regulation, of course, your skin and hair gets better, no more toxic buildup. So lots of good stuff. And then peptides. Peptides. I just want to make you aware, as you're talking about peptides out there, we learned about a company called Make Wellness, and they do natural peptides. So what is natural peptides? These are called bioprecision natural peptides because instead of being a shot, they can be taken in pill form. And instead of being a pharmaceutical, they're more natural. So there's a few that are these peptides from Make Wellness. And by the way, what I'm trying to end this presentation with is affordable steps, right? Like if you're interested in, let's say, I want more muscle because that's longevity. This Fit product has been proven to have 5 times the results of creatine, and creatine is a really good muscle boosting supplement. This product right here called Focus is designed to help enhance and improve your cognitive function and help to prevent cognitive decline. Lean is a product that I'll show you a little comparison that they compare to a GLP-1. But instead of, if you were on a GLP-1 and your insurance stopped paying for it, they're going to charge you 500 or $1,000 a month. I mean, it gets pretty expensive. And there's a lot of reasons why this would be better because when you compare this product, which I'll just do on the next page, this is the comparison, right? So, what's a GLP-1? Otherwise known as Ozempic or that kind of thing? Uh, it's a glucagon-like peptide. It's a synthetic derivative of about 31 amino acid peptide. Uh, and what this is interesting. I gotta show you this picture. This is where it was originally derived from. The venom of this guy. Okay, so there's this little dildo. That's crazy where stuff comes from, right? Never know. All right, so the peptide chain was originally derived from the venom of a Gila monster, which is just a lizard found in South America. But that's where it originally came from. Okay, so if we're talking about the product Lean from Make Wellness, this is interesting because it contains a combination of bioactive precision peptides derived from yeast hydrolysate. Bottom line is, it's very natural. It's even derived from citrus. They work synergistically to influence that feeling that you're full and to help with fat loss. So, on one hand, you got a GLP-1. The purpose of a GLP-1 is to uh, influence the GLP-1 receptors and to increase insulin and inhibit glucagon production. And essentially, it makes you feel like if it's working well, you feel like you're full on a sip of water. The purpose of lean, which is the bioactive precision peptide, it just has components that support thermogenesis, which is the speeding up of the metabolism, lipolysis, which is the increase of fat utilization and appetite control. So the products work a little bit different. Um, of course, when it comes to the form, uh, GLP-1s are chemically modified, and so of course they're synthetically produced. They're not still using the venom of the Gila monster, right? So they're synthetically produced, and they're therapeutic pharmaceuticals that are delivered through injections. Whereas these are just the bioactive precision peptides and lean naturally support gut and brain access regulation, appetite control, and increased calorie burning and metabolism, classifying them as preventative. And as far as how they're administered, you just take them like a vitamin, right? You just take them like your morning pills. So for those that don't like the needles, here's what I don't like. I love it when people that are actually on GLP-1 are still doing resistance training, because what I don't like to hear about is how much muscle is lost with the GLP-1s, because they'll say, oh, this person lost 50% of their muscle. And that means they've lost something very important for longevity, right? So the lean product's been studied and it is comparative. Of course, it's not going to make you feel like you're full on a sip of water, but it's produced some amazing weight loss results for people while at the same time allowing them to maintain their muscle mass. So that's an important approach. Training, because what I don't like to hear about is how much muscle is lost with the GLP-1s, because they'll say, oh, this person lost 50% of their muscle. And that means they've lost something very important for longevity, right? So the lean product's been studied and it is comparative. Of course, it's not going to make you feel like you're full on a sip of water, but it's produced some amazing weight loss results for people while at the same time allowing them to maintain their muscle mass. So that's an important approach. And again, we said it was from this guy, but um, just to kind of recap here a little bit, if you're interested in optimization, optimization begins at the cellular level. And so what you want to do is you want to try to address deficiencies in your cells. And before you even take your blood work to find out, where am I deficient? What can I do about it? What you should probably do is be taking some kind of drink like that Leviten product to make sure that you're actually doing everything you can to not be deficient. And then once you find out if you are deficient, then you take some custom supplementation. You may find out that that's as far as you need to go. It may optimize your hormones so well, and you may be living like you never lived before, that you don't need to go any further. But if you do need to go further, as we pointed out on that female chart, maybe HRT is right for you. And maybe by optimizing your hormones, you can increase your lean muscle mass, help with your metabolism, help with your sleep, all kinds of things such as that, fight osteoporosis. So those are important things to consider. And then there's a lot of peptide therapies out there that are really good. And I feel like right now there's a lot of different camps. There's a camp of, oh, I would never do the Ozempics. And then there's a camp of people that are using it and all that. And if it's the right tool for you, then use it. But people need to know that's not the only peptide out there. I mean, there's a lot of great peptides to be taken, increasing your growth hormone, fighting inflammation, things like that. So definitely look into peptides to enhance your transformation, because, again, we just have access to more things than we ever did before. So with that being said, optimization is the new transformation. We want to make everybody aware. We want to help people with true transformation. So that was the purpose of putting that in there. Cindy and I are taking this greens product every morning. So I don't talk to you about things I'm not taking. I've taken all the Make Wellness peptides. I enjoyed how they made me feel. I'm actually out at the moment of everything except for the hydrate. So I'm getting ready to order some more. So yeah, I mean, so I wouldn't be telling you about anything that I didn't personally take. So there it is. Any questions while we're on here?
No, I don't think so. Hey, can you send over that link for that Libden
Yeah.
from YouTube?
Mm-hmm. For sure. And well, I'll send that. What you do is you'll see a 6 minute video at the top, and just below the 6 minute video, I really like the 15-minute podcast. I'd say the 6 minute video is more like a commercial, but the
Yeah.
Yes. The lady that created the product, she's a dedicated fitness professional and just wanted to create a great product. And so she worked with people that put a lot of science into it to make sure that everything was properly delivered to your system. So it's a good 15-minute watch, you know.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Mhm. Any other questions? Huh? All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. I don't know if you want to take a screenshot of yourself in here. You know, you can make a post later, or we'll make sure you post about the optimization and get your points for the week. And there you go. I think I don't know if you got a Mac, but here I'll take a picture for you too. Well, here we go. I'll make a post in the group. I'm in the challenge too. I wanted to participate, so I need to make a few posts. I'll post and you guys can copy my photo and put it in yours or whatever. Julie, thanks for joining us tonight. You got any questions?
No, well, I kind of was wondering how we would go about ordering that if the peptides,
Hmm.
um, if we were interested.
Yeah, I can send you over. What I'll send you over as well, um, and I can send it to anybody that's here. There's this cool little book that they put together, and it's like this page-turning book, but each page, when you're on the peptide, it comes with a short video, and they really explain like the science behind it. And so I don't know, I've never seen these types of books before, but it's pretty cool. So I can send you not only the link, but I could send you that PDF where it's like this person explains how this peptide helps with muscle building and how this peptide helps with, your
Yeah.
neuro and all that kind of thing. So I'll send that over so you can check it
Yep.
out. This is
Thank you.
the best place to start if you ask me. So
Yes.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. And
Thank you.
yeah, thanks,
Thank
Lisa. Thanks for being here.
you.
All
Thank
right.
Have a great
Yeah,
weekend,
thanks.
everybody.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
See
Bye
you. Have
bye.
a good night.
See you
Bye,
guys
Bye.
Drew.
later.